Welcome back to ALANUI MELE. We have turned the tables for this episode. We have as our guest our original host, Kavet the Catalyst. I'm John Jenks, producer here at PBS Hawaiʻi. What up, Kavet?
What up?
How you living?
It's good. It's kind of weird. That was a weird what up because it's like I was like, what up? But I mean, yeah, it's just weird that the table was turned.
I know.
That's why I feel weird.
It's very comfortable sitting back here, not on camera.
Yeah.
And, I don't have to worry about looking cool.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I have wardrobe changes if we need it.
Good. All right, so Kavet, let's start at the beginning. That's the best place to start. What was your first exposure to hip hop? Or do you remember when you first got into it or first started saying, okay, this is part of who I am?
Well, the first real impactful moment in hip hop for me was I was going to Summer Fun. Do they even have Summer Fun anymore?
Yes.
Summer Fun at Pocky Park. That's right across Waikiki Elementary. I grew up in Kapahulu. And then there was a junior leader, and his name was Terrence. And this was in the 80s. So I was in elementary. And he had that raccoon hat that a lot of the B-boys had, and I've seen only in since, in Hawaii, we don't see much, but I knew that was affiliated with hip hop. And then he had a boombox, and he had Lee jeans. And I think he had Pumas. I don't know Adidas. I'm trying to think back. And he was known as the breakdancer, right? Terrence, the junior leader breakdancer. Cool. He had raccoon haircut, bleached hair, almost like a was it Stripe from the Gremlins or whatever.
Oh, nice.
He looked cool. He was cool, man.
Dude, sounds like a G.
No, he was back then in the 80s. No t-shirt, never wore shirt. So tight Lee jeans. I think maybe Pumas with fat laces. No t-shirt. The raccoon thing, the Fat Boys
with the steps.
Yeah. He was it. And so one day, that was when breakdancing was starting to get banned. Oh, you're gonna break your head. You're gonna get hurt. So then one day, Terrence comes in and they're like, "No, Terrence." For an assembly, you can't break dance, okay? We're all sitting there oh man. And you see him kind of his eyes start watering. So we're like, oh, and he just rebelled, dude. He got up, he put his boombox down in front of everybody, he pressed play, and he started doing shoulder rolls. Dude, that was yeah, everybody went crazy. Ah! And then from then on, I was like, yo, this is it. Whatever Terrence is involved in, which is breaking, I want to do that. I want to do that. I want to be a part of whatever that is. And all I knew was breakdancing. That's it. And that was my first experience with the element of breaking, which led into hip hop.
That's a lot of people's gateway drug into hip hop is breaking.
Yeah, definitely.
Before you know about the culture, before you know about the music,
yeah.
You see someone spinning on their
head,
head. You're like, oh, I need to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, shout out to Terrence. Terrence is a G.
I don't even know what his name, where he went. He's he was there one summer and gone. And then from then on, I remember my friend Ken, his sister had Beastie Boys and had Run DMC, or he had it from someone older. Older siblings, they got the tapes, or cousins. He had Run DMC. My other friend in middle school had Sir Mix-a-Lot. I'm trying to remember, I think Ice-T. So exposure through older siblings and cousins, or my friend or friends' brothers that had sound systems that could drive. So whatever came in, I was soaking up, especially Beastie Boys, because they were white dudes. And I always said, in Hawaii, being Hawaiian, right? Hawaiian, Filipino, Japanese, and I think it's supposed to be an ounce of German or something, right? You don't see the typical black B-boy, right? White B-boy, Puerto Rican B-boy. Right? It's we're all any kind poi dog. So when Beastie Boys came out, it's oh, they're down with Russell Simmons, and they're down with Run DMC, and they're white, and they're kind of whiny, they're different. I was yo, I like Beastie Boys. Of course, I like Run DMC too, but I memorized the whole Beastie Boys album.
It shows the multiculturalism of hip hop too.
Yeah, and acceptance, right? Because
when you're different, when you don't look like everyone else you see, you say, oh, there's space for someone different.
Exactly.
That validates it.
The fact that, and it didn't matter if they're white. It's just that for us in Hawaii, hip hop felt dominantly black culture. It was a black, what am I talking about? It is. So to have three white whiny boys be accepted, hey, dude, I'm Hawaiian. I can be accepted in this. So I'm gonna start breakdancing, which I sucked at. So I kind of put that aside. Yeah.
So when we're talking about hip hop and being involved in hip hop, I know we've talked about this before, but have you tried or dabbled in all the elements of hip hop?
Yep. So obviously I started breaking, popping. Of course, everybody pops. And in Hawaii, or maybe even the West Coast, there's always the Samoan popper locker. That's like a standard. I don't know if it's like you're born with it, but I remember all the Samoan kids could pop, especially the older brothers could pop and lock, right? And I tried that. I could do some popping, some wave and whatever. I was like, breaking. I could do like swipes, coffee grinders. I don't know if they call it anywhere else. I could do like backspins, and that's pretty much my extent. Maybe like chino drops and random like flopping like a dead seal on the ground. But that was the extent of it all. Then I remember listening. They played on the radio, De La Soul's Me, Myself, and I. And that was like it. I was like, I remember recording it on a cassette and doing those things where you write the lyrics. And I sat there rewinding, playing, and wrote every lyric on a photo paper of Me, Myself, and I. Because I thought that was like whole. So, coming off of Beastie Boys, Run DMC, like, yo, check it. And you come from these guys where it's like, Me, Myself, and I.
Melodic, funky.
And then I'm like, dude, that's me. And at the same time, I skated. I was skateboarding. Skateboarding was life. So De La Soul, Me, Myself, and I, that album, 3 Feet High and Rising, heard on the radio, and that was the gateway. I'm like, I'm gonna be an MC. I'm gonna start writing. So I started. So I would write any lyric and any song that I heard on the radio, record it, and I'd write the lyrics down, And that's how I started writing rhymes.
I do know. Like that's a nobody does that anymore.
Yeah.
Our kids don't have that experience of like waiting for the couple hours a day that hip hop would actually be played on the radio, because it's not an all day thing. There's no hip hop stations. Maybe they had like a hip hop hour or just a random hip hop drop, and you would have to sit there praying it was a hip hop song you like. And you and I probably have this experience where we have songs memorized with the radio DJ's intro memorized, right?
Yeah.
We have that radio DJ. Yo, there's another one from De La Soul.
Yeah.
And you're like, you have that. That's how, like, every time you hear that song, you hear the radio DJ from like 1989 or 1990, whatever.
Either that or it was an edited version. So they'd play 2 verses. They wouldn't play the third because it's radio edit. Then when you buy the album, then you're like, dude, there's a third verse? And you're like, I don't know the third verse. And you're like, oh my God, dude. And then that's how I learned about radio edits. But through all of that, I got into records, and then I got into DJing.
Nice. And so what age is that? Like, what grade are you in?
Middle school. I feel like middle school was the time I found De La Soul. That was 89, late 80s. So, yeah, middle school. That was a middle school time for me when I found De La, and then I discovered Third Base. I think it was Cactus album was their first album. And that was 89, I think. And so, and even more so, right? You got these black guys from Long Island that are not doing gangster stuff.
Not at all.
Because at that time, NWA ruled, and everything was like gangster music, right? And I come from Hawaii. Like, I ain't gangster, dude. Even the gangster guys in Hawaii, it look like people, they're trying to emulate the mainland. And we're not, dude. You can go to the most hoodest place in Hawaii and still see the most beautifulest mountains behind you. And even if you're on the 30th floor of the ghetto in Hawaii, you still see the ocean. Is that really gangster?
I don't know.
I mean, I can say poverty, struggle. I was a latchkey kid. Parents had 2 jobs each. No one was ever home. So I wasn't poverty stricken, but I struggled. Right.
You were outside. You were outside.
I was outside, dude. Middle child, outside. So you know what I mean? So then De La Soul comes out, life changing. Dude, you can be different, right? Third Base. Now, Third Base to me was like, now the lyrics is hitting. Because it was a little harder. The beats were harder. But it was 2 white boys and a black DJ. And I was like, yo, what? And their lyrics, Search, he did his thing. But I always thought Pete Nice was so nice with it. Like his swagger. That was before swagger. You had this white Jewish dude with a trench coat and a cane. Like, just like pimp walking. But the way he rapped was like, he was slow, and he hit the pocket different. And then you had, MC Search like da 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 doing it fast. Then you had Daddy Rich, Black DJ cutting. I was like, yo, De La Soul third base. Oh my God.
That whole native tongue.
The whole native tongues. So
Yeah.
that's it right there.
And so you said about this time you started to pick up a pen and started to write your own rhymes.
Yep.
And so you had aspirations of being an MC. Tell us about your MC
yeah.
career.
I mean, no matter how old I am now.
I know there's records of you out there, recordings of
Kavet the Catalyst. There's a lot. I'm not
spitting out there.
My kids, the thing is, I'm so old, my kids find them. Like, I coach AAU basketball, and then we go on trips, and then they find my performances on YouTube or songs, and then they show my son. They're like, oh, Dad, why'd you do this? I'm like, oh, man. I was like, hey, dude, I was in the moment. Like, all my friends, every time, there's this one line I say, wake up in the morning. I do it real, I pronounce it really, wake up in the morning, right? And then they saw it on their trip recently, and they'd wake up in the morning and say that because everybody would start saying it. And then my son told me at the end of the trip, man, they found your video about you saying wake up in the morning. So every morning they would say, Coltrane, wake up in the morning. And I'd be like, oh, sorry. He's like, but it's funny. He wasn't embarrassed. It's like, hey, my dad rap.
Hey, you were him, though. It's all right.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah. So, even to this day, like, life gets you and you don't have the time to put in that creative energy because it takes a lot of the hip-hop we love and we grew up with takes a lot of energy, a lot of soul, a lot of thought. Because it means something to us. Unlike today's hip hop, where, sometimes they can't even pronounce words. So it's simple nursery rhyme, like it's formulaic. It's just nursery. It's just simple, simpleton. But nah, in our era, dude, like we had to pen that thing. We had to like criticize it. Did someone say this? Like I can't do that. Do I sound like this guy?
Yeah, you couldn't jack anybody.
Can't do that. So there's a different time.
Couldn't bite. Like that's not even a thing. That's not even a thing. Kids don't even have that in their vocabulary. Biting.
They don't know what biting is.
That's crazy. Yeah. You're like when I was coming up, the worst thing you could be called was a biter, bro. That is like the ultimate. Just like
that's like
getting checked and getting called a biter. You're just like, oh, dude, it's like totally
getting
invalidating, and you're just like, oh, I'm a bite. I'm not a biter. I got to come with it original.
Yeah. But be called a biter and getting checked is part of the process that's missing in today. You should always be checked. Even at the ripe old age I am, if someone checks me on the street, like, Kavet, you can't rap no more, and be like, well, let's see if I can, right? Like, that's just hip-hop, right?
Well, there's definitely, I guess the kids don't like to be gatekeeped. No. They say, you can't gatekeep me, bro. But like... like Dub C says, you got to pay your dues.
Yeah. No, it's funny.
You have to, there needs to be some
kind of gatekeeping. There really does need to be some kind of gatekeeping. I feel, at first I was like, yeah, dude, like I hated it because my entry into hip hop was small. Like it was like, nah, dude, you can't be here. You're from Hawaii. You can't rap, dude. You're not black, dude. You're not original. Like, you don't know what it is, right? So I was like, dude, the door kept getting smaller. And the guys with the keys behind the door, they were locking it all the time, dude. But I think that made us even better and created something that Hawaii needed, like originality. And we had to push even harder because we're on an island. We're disconnected. We're landlocked from hip-hop. So even more so, we had to be original. Because when you go to the mainland, you don't want to be called a biter. You can get beat. You can get beat down. You can get, battled, whatever. But I think I realized that gatekeeping is needed. Because it's
bring it back. Bring back fake. Gatekeeping.
Gatekeeping is not real. It's you say, oh, you're whack. Oh, you're gatekeeping because you're an old head. Like, nah, that's one person's opinion. He didn't close the door on you. There's really no door, dude. Go around the dude. Go through the window. Like, come on. It's that mentality. They don't want to fight no more. They don't want the resistance that you need to get better. How do you make muscle, right? You have to rip the muscle so it gains more muscle. Kids don't want that.
Iron sharpens iron.
Iron sharpens iron.
Yeah. So what was the scene like when you're trying to come up, trying to be an MC, cutting your MC teeth? What was that scene like, and what years are we talking about? Or mid-90s kind of thing? Yeah,
so like when I was in middle school, I remember seeing flyers, Ice Cube at Pink Cadillac. I think a Run DMC came down and stuff like that, but I was too young. Like I barely left Kapahulu, you know what I mean? I went to Ala Moana, maybe Kalama. I never ventured into Waikiki or the clubs, right? So I was like, what, 8th grade, 9th grade? So like I just see it. And you know, at that time I think maybe there was like Source and rap pages. Young TV Rap started up in the early 90s, right? So it was exposing myself to it. Then finally when I got to go out around 9th, 10th grade, you know, through skateboarding and then through learning how to catch the bus, started going out to events, seeing who's who, going to shows, meeting other people. And, you know, there wasn't that many MCs, I feel, in the early 80s, early 90s. I think it really popped off in the mid 90s, where it's just like mid 90s to early 2000s, everybody wanted to be an MC. Everybody rhymed. The graph writers rhymed. The DJs rhymed. Like the people who rhymed. I mean, everybody was trying to be an MC. The ciphers are huge. 20 people on one beat. You know what I mean? Like good, some guys thug. You know, it's just, and it was beautiful because it's like that's how you grew, right? You have to fight for yours. You know what I mean? You have to fight. Like I remember being in ciphers, and like 20 people are there, and you watch the mic get around. Some people are just alpha. You just like, yo, I ain't touching that mic. You know, like Buzz One Night Stand. Like, you know, like, yo, okay, I'll wait till it comes my way.
You're like, well, let's let a few other dudes go first.
I mean, you can step to them, but they were vicious. Then when it came your turn, you got to just get your bars in, right? And then, you know, you literally, once you kind of start falling off, you should just pass it, or some people will just take it. But I mean, it was great. I think that really helped build Hawaii's hip-hop scene in the mid-90s when MCs was like flourishing. Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's probably, I mean, Hawaii's probably a little late to that. So if you're saying that that's kind of the birth of the scene where people are like, okay, we're really going to try to do this.
Yeah.
And like make records or make tapes.
I feel it. I feel it. Especially doing ALANUI MELE. Like I've learned so much.
Yeah.
The 80s, there are hardly any MCs.
Yeah.
Like, there are people that rapped.
I mean, the 80s, there's like LA and Philadelphia and New York. Yeah. Obviously New York.
And Hawaii had a few. I mean, yeah. I learned so much. You know, talking to all the OGs on this podcast, and then telling me, yeah, so and so and so and so and so and so, and it's the same names pop up. The one name that popped up is MC Glass. That was the one dude that I need to meet. He seemed like the dude in the 80s, MC Glass,
the OG of OGs.
Yeah, and it checks everybody. Oh, MC Glass, Kalihi.
Where's MC Glass?
That's the thing, man. I mean, shout out to MC Glass, dude. You the OG, man. And yeah, but in the 90s, it was like a lot of people.
Yeah.
There was like One Night Stand that represented Home Grove Massive. There was the High State Fam. You know what I mean? That us guys coming up, you know what I mean? And then had like all the different and there's the Abyss, you know what I mean? Which was like majority of brothers coming from like the military side and people that gravitate toward them. And there was like a couple years younger that, you know, like guys I grew up with, you know, I mean, my crew, like before we were Lightsleepers, were like ECM, we were called. And
what's
you know,
ECM stand for?
It's Eternal Champion Massive.
That sounds like a very mid-90s underground hip-hop crew.
It was very much, you know what I mean? And everybody had crews, you know, and it was dope. This is a really dope time.
Nice. And so how did going from there, trying to be an MC, lead to where you get to through high school and then in college, I guess, because we know you did some significant things in college.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so I guess what was the transition?
Shoot,
writing.
Man.
When did you step behind the turntables or get your first turntables?
Crazy part about it is the reason why. So I grew up in Kapahulu and skateboarded my whole life, right? So a lot of my friends, you know, that skateboarded got into hip hop as well, b-boying and graph. I mean, I feel like every skateboarder did graffiti.
People, yeah. Nowadays, you might not see a connection, but especially West Coast, the connection between hip hop and in Hawaii,
right.
Hip hop and skateboarding is big. Like that's where you would hear like the dopest underground stuff.
Yeah, but nobody
skating.
But nobody produced music. Yeah. Nobody I knew. I didn't know any DJs that could DJ, and I didn't know any producers, and I didn't know where these beats. How do you make a beat? We're in Hawaii now. There's no like walking into a producer.
And this is pre.
This is like
stock beats that you can get for 99 cents on the radio or on the internet. There's nothing like that in the 90s. This is pre-Napster days, so you can't even download instrumental beats.
Everything days. Yeah. Like, what's the instrumental? An instrumental was on the B side of a cassette single.
Yeah, but you can't just make your song to
Yeah.
Cream.
Yeah, you can't. You have to. I mean, we would with karaoke machines or 2 cassettes. So I was thinking, like, how am I want to rap, I want to write, but I don't have beats. Then I realized, I went to the record store, like, oh shoot, the vinyl, the 12-inch vinyl, it has the instrumental. I was like, I remember picking up one of a Gangstar record. You know what I mean? It was like $3.99 because it had the instrumental. So I bought it, and I was like, oh, wait a minute, I don't got a turntable. What the? I was looking at it like, oh wow, like Gangstar, like, yeah, I got the instrumental, like, yeah. How'd I play this thing? Oh, my dad has a turntable. So, back then it was the cabinets.
Oh, yeah.
2 speakers, a dual deck receiver, and a turntable, the most jankiest turntable on the top. I didn't even know if it worked.
Yeah.
Right? So, you open up, you put it on top, you're like, you barely hear it. I'm like, dang, dude. And then I realized, wait a minute, this record that I bought, I seen these before. Dude, my dad had a gang of them in the closet. Come to find out, he had his own record collection, but he always told us, do not touch what's in the closet, is his record collection. Because he played jazz music. He was a clarinet. He played clarinet for like a jazz band. Back in the day, like everybody sounded like Kalapana. So he was in that vein of, he had his own Kalapana
jazz
brand.
it up.
Yeah. So he has a clarinet, I think, and saxophone, I think. So and then I realized, was that?
Woodwinds.
Yeah, woodwinds. With, just G, I guess you can say, like, Kenny G-ish. I mean, I don't know if it's, sorry, Dad, I don't know if it's Kenny G. You're like he's a Filipino-Japanese Kenny G.
That's not a bad moniker. I'd take it.
I mean, shoot.
Shout out to Pops.
He got my mom, so, I mean, he made me.
He did something.
He did something right. So anyway, I started just doing it. Like, oh, dang, we have a record player. It doesn't work. Wait, I've seen these records before. It's in my closet. Wait a minute. It's all these jazz records. Okay, now I need a record player. So here's the story. The way I got my turntables, I didn't know where to buy turntables in Hawaii. We're in Hawaii, dude. I mean, you grew up in LA, so I'm pretty sure there's stores you could go to. You're on the continent. Hawaii is like, where do you buy a turntable? And where do you buy a turntable made for hip hop?
Yeah, you need a Technique
or something.
1200 or a Gemini or something.
Gemini. So exactly. On the back of the rap pages or source, they had an ad for Upstairs Records in New York. And they had the turntable master, scratch master package for $3.99. And I'm like, oh, that's what I want. I had a paper out since 3rd grade. I delivered papers from 3rd grade all the way to like maybe when I started playing sports more seriously in high school. Like 3rd grade, dude, I was making money. So like, I was out there, dude, doing legal, like legally I was doing
legal
trying to figure
hustle.
it out. No, totally legal hustle. But I was, dude, imagine a 3rd grader right now riding a bike with papers in it. Do you see that at all?
Well, nobody reads the papers.
Nobody reads paper, yeah. But like if anybody know what Paperboy is, there used to be newspapers. So the news on the internet used to be in these papers, bundled by rubber bands. The guy would drop it off at your house, and you deliver it to each house, and then you get paid. I do that. Saved my money. Told my mom, I need you to write a check to this place in New York called Upstairs Records. She thought it was crazy. Like, what? And I think about it. They could have took the check and never sent me the turntables. They didn't have. Why should they send this Scratch Master package to this kid in Hawaii? It's $400 now. This is like 1990, 91. They did. Dude, I sent it and waited. There was no confirmation.
None of that.
Check the Amazon app.
No tracking app.
No tracking. It just, you waited and then it came in. The Gemini Scratch Master. I think it's called the BD or XL 10s or 20s with my Scratch Master mixer. I'm like, I'm good, dude. I'm ready. I want to play this instrumental. I want to write my rhymes, plug it all in, put it on. No sound comes out.
No more amp.
No amp. People do not understand the struggle of trying to be.
And if no one's going to tell you, how do you know?
How do you know? Trying to be hip-hop in Hawaii. And at that time, I made it into Kamehameha. I went to a private school. Later on, I learned there was a lot of hip-hop heads that came out of Kamehameha. Not as much as public school. But I knew nobody. When I went to Kamehameha in 1990 as a freshman, dude, I was a freak. Baggy pants, bright color. You know what I mean? I looked like half Grand Poobah, half Kwame. You know what I mean? Going to a private school, they looked at me like, what? The baggy pants, skateboarder, shell toes, backpack, beanie. Like, dude. So then of course, nobody looked like me, so there's nobody I could actually ask. Like, hey, what's a turntable? So I figured out, get the amp that I had from the cab of that old turntable, hooked it all up. Boom, we in business. Write my rhymes. But one thing led to another. I'm like, oh, wait, what about those records in my dad's closet? Bring them out, start playing them with, just like experimenting. Boom, I think it was maybe Steely Dan, Black Cow or something, or just like a, I don't know, like what might have been Steely Dan. I think it was Steely Dan or Chicago. And then I remember putting a certain record on the turntable, and then I put the needle on. I'm like, yo, dude, this track is what they sampled for De La Soul. This is what I hear on the radio. Like, what is this? Sampling. I figured it out myself. I'm like, all they did is loop this. That's how you make hip hop? That's how you make beats? You just loop it? And so then I remember Grandmaster Flash. And it kind of clicked. Like, I seen Wild Style and Style Wars late, right? Because we're in Hawaii. You had to travel here somehow. I missed it on PBS. It was on VHS. I got a dub from my sister's boyfriend. He's like, you check this out, Wild Style. And I was like, boom. Then I figured out, oh, that's what he was doing. He's catching it like that. So, dude, this is like literally clicking. Like one, boom, boom. I need to get doubles of this. So I started teaching myself how to DJ. I didn't talk to nobody. And there was no clubs for me because I was literally 14 years old. Didn't know nobody. So I figured it out all on my own because I was hungry, dude. I knew what I wanted to do. And then that's how I got into DJing. So learning to mix records. That's how I got into producing. Because in Gemini, I created this little sampler. And that's how I started sampling those records and looping them. Yeah. And then that's how I got into DJing, producing, and MCing. That's it right
All right,
there.
you remember your first track you recorded? What was it called?
I don't remember anything. I don't remember. I feel like I was just making loops and writing. Like it was never like I'm gonna make a song.
Like a polished,
yeah,
or an EP. I'm just doing it.
Yeah, I'm just learning and doing it. Maybe now people think, hey, I want to rap and I want to release an album because like I say, the entryway is so huge. And back then, it's like you wouldn't even think I'm going to make an album, right? Because that's a whole other story. Like, how do you even record all of that? How do I record these two turntables, this microphone on a track? Like, how do you do that? Like, because I can't keep going back and forth and rapping like J Live, and then press record on a cassette. That's ridiculous. That's how I learned how to produce because there's a thing called the Tascam Porta 1.
I remember the Tascam.
Porta 1, which is one of the first 4-track prosumer consumer, and I bought that from a guitarist of a heavy metal band that I worked with at Kuikini Medical Center. He's like a heavy metal Grant Ishizaki, I think was his name, and he was like a shredder, and he found that I did hip hop. Well, whatever I did, and he's like, "Oh, you need a 4-track recorder." I was like, "What is that?" He's like, "Oh, I'll sell you this. It's called a Tascam Porta 1." I'm like, "Yeah, let's get it." And dude, he sold it to me. And I figured it all out. So shout out to Grant, man. The shredder on the axe. I mean, it wasn't for him. I wouldn't understand what producing is. So everything's organic. This is like organic, 100%
DIY.
Dude, DIY to the fullest. And I think that's what basically raised me and shaped me. And that's the reason why I'm the way I am now.
But that's how everybody not everybody. I can't speak for everybody, but
right.
Back in the day when you're digging, you're not showing people your records. You don't want them to know. You're not showing them your styles because you want to be original.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to be hip-hop, you just had to figure it out.
You had to figure it out. And you had to kind of keep it guarded, too.
Yeah, you had to watch, observe.
Yeah.
And just try to make it your own.
And
just try it.
Yeah, and the thing is
kind of very Hawaiian, though.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of like a very Hawaiian way to learn.
I mean, I guess so, because Hawaiians are on the island.
And, I mean, back, you learn from the kapunas, and they're like, no, my tutu never told me anything. I just learned by watching. And if I did it wrong, she would
pot you like, bam.
Pot you, yeah.
That's wrong.
That's super hip-hop, though.
Figure it out.
That's super hip-hop,
no, it is,
too.
It is.
Because it's like, they're not going to tell you how to style when you're writing. They're just going to call you a toy if your style's whack. You're like, bro, that's whack.
Right.
So you're just like, oh, that's whack. I can't do that. I gotta pivot. But that's super hip hop. So.
And that's the thing is, like, I think, like, that's how I learned how to watch and listen more than I do speak. I speak a lot, obviously, but if you know me, I don't speak much. But I like to watch and listen and observe, and I feel like that's what's missing today. I love the initiative of going and doing, but in the process of going and doing, you have to stop, learn, look, and listen in order to get better, because that's how you create a foundation, and through that foundation, then the roots are deep. You grow. Then some of the dopest people, they're dope, and they have longevity because they have a strong foundation. Because it took time to listen, learn, and understand how to do this thing called hip hop.
I'm not gonna be like the grandpa and like trash all modern hip hop, but I do hear some of these kids that come up like, I don't even listen to any of these people. I don't know anything about Wu-Tang or Tribe Called Quest or any of those people or Mele Mel.
And you have to.
You got to know.
You got to. I don't care what anybody says.
A tree without roots can't grow, or it's not going to grow tall.
It ain't. And that's why they all fall off. And where are they now? Dude, where are all these people that say that? Dude, every trend, like, the cell phone, the pager, the cell phone pager, whatever, cell phone trend, cell phone beats, like, where are all these people, like, within the middle 2000s, the 2K era? Where are all those guys? Where's Chingy?
Yeah.
Where are all these dudes? Where are you? Like,
shout out to Chingy.
No, shout out to Chingy, but like, for real, you ain't popping like that. You know what I mean? No, dude.
You gotta respect the roots,
dude. Jay Dilla and MF Doom are dead, but they sell records and they've impacted way more people in hip hop.
Oh, for sure.
Like, than people that are alive now that are able to do music. These guys that was popping once, they're still alive. They can still make music. People that are dead are way more influential. Biggie, Tupac are way more influential than people that are alive now that can actually go out in the studio and make music. It's because those guys' roots were never solid. You know what I mean? And to me, like, that's what the problem is today. But in order for anything to happen, like, I mean, I've been spreading, showing the love, always bringing up the next generation, and I feel like that's why I'm still here. That's why when you say Lightsleepers, Kavet the Catalyst, that's why you can't really say anything but like, yeah, dude, they did their thing, you know what I mean? Or they doing their thing, even though I've been doing it for decades, because I've always gave back to the next generation. I've always pulled the next man up. I always bigged up the next person. I always gave somebody an opportunity, because it should never stop with me. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't make it easy, but you know what I mean? I definitely like, hey man, dude, this is how you do it. And then figure it out, right? Go this way. Don't go that way. But if they go that way, hey, just take a little longer route. And then they'll be like, dang, I should have went that way when Kavet said. But guess what? You're even better for it, because you learn from your mistakes and your L's.
So let's get into that, the origin of Lightsleepers. That's, I think, probably what most people know you for. It's a pretty well-known brand.
Yeah.
But what's the origin story of Lightsleepers? Where did it come from? Where did the name come from?
Origin story of Lightsleepers. So I've always been like, F the mainstream. And when you're younger, you stand on that, right? It's punk rock. That's punk rock. You know what I mean? That's like, that's roots reggae. That's you stand on that, like, so coming up, right, there's always been like F the radio, F mainstream, right? So I would never do radio ever. Because what I hear on there, when they played De La Soul, it was dope. Then as it slowly transitioned, right? You got tracks that was whack, like, way more booty stuff, right? 69 Boys and all that stuff, which is funny now. Back then, it's like,
You don't want that. When you're like really into the culture, you're not looking for that. You're not checking for that.
I mean, but there's a time and place for that, right?
Yes.
The girls coming. Anyway, so Lightsleepers happened, graduated, went to LCC. I wanted to go to USC. Because I heard it was in the hood.
It is in the hood.
Yeah, it is in the hood. So I wanted to go to USC just because I could be closer to hip hop. Because I heard about Project Blowed, Good Life, is it on Crenshaw, South Central, right? I wasn't looking for gangster stuff. I was looking for Project Blowed, Good Life, that kind of stuff. And then I'd be closer to get to New York. Didn't get into USC because it's hard.
Oh, it's expensive. You saved money, bro. You didn't need to go into that much debt. Super expensive.
So I didn't get to USC, so I got into the prestigious LCC, Leeward Community College for the Kings. Went there, got my AA, and I was busy. out doing hip hop, started doing events and, getting my name out, going out every night in ciphers, just paying dues. And I so missed those times. And then I graduated my AA, and then I was going to UH. So, I made a name for myself. And then somebody found out that Kavet was going to UH. So at UH, KTUH before me, there was dope hip hop shows. Soul 69 with Itaro and Size. The Stone Groove guys used to DJ on there. So many legends. You'd go to KTUH. Like when I was in high school, I would listen to KTUH. So KTUH already had a name for like promoting really good hip hop or pushing underground like boom bap, like all the
shout out to college radio.
College radio in general was so beautiful. I mean,
it's so dope. Like
so
that,
dope.
like was such a dope, like just kind of spot for underground hip
Yeah,
hop.
and that was basically.
So you can't just Google stuff.
You can't. Yeah.
You gotta. How you gonna get it? I used to tune into the Wake Up Show because it would come on 1 hour a night on Friday night, and that's like the only.
That's what Tasho said. I remember because I grew up in Kapahulu. I remember doing the same thing. They would go out to like Sandy Beach to get the Wake Up Show. That was on Maui. Maui could get. We couldn't get it, bro.
And it's. I mean, it's from Oakland, but it's
Yeah.
like not. You could get it. It's just like it went out to the world.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So then, so basically, at that time, college radio, Lord Cedric. I graduated Kamehameha with him. He became the general manager. Transition. He became the general manager, and those older guys that was doing the dope hip hop shows on KTUH, all those OGs that I looked up to, they were all graduating. So a thing with KTUH is after you graduate, you got to get out. That's just the dumbest thing ever. Why? I don't know. So he knew that was happening. He became the GM. He heard I was coming over, and he calls me up. He's like, "Yo, Kav, this is Sed." I was like, "Hey, what up, Sed?" He's like, "Do you want to do radio?" I'm like, "No." Hell no. I ain't playing that junk. I ain't doing that. He's like, no. This is college radio. I was like, what do you mean college radio? He's like, KTUH. I was like, oh, what do you mean? He's like, dude, you can play anything you want. I'm like,
No programming.
no programming. All you have to do is play hip hop. I'm like, bro. So I've already tuned into the shows, you know what I mean? And I was like, dude, sign me up. So all those OG guys eventually phase out, right? Just through like, life and graduating. Boom, I come in there. And shout out to KTUH, man. Sed and all those guys. L'Oreal, the reggae shows, L'Oreal, Big Bear, Crazy K, The Prude, Massa, Dr. Dread, Palani, Metal X. I'm naming them because I got to give them their props, man. All the Righteous Roger, like, you know what I mean? Joe 9, like all these dudes, they helped me, man. Martha, they helped shape Lightsleepers because they all were into like drum and bass, house, the reggae. The reggae was so good then, and I learned so much from reggae. So put me in that mix. They gave me a show, but the show was 6 to 9 a.m.
That's when all the hip hop heads are
Dude.
are up checking for the new music.
6 to 9. No, wait, 3 to 6. Was it 3 to 6? No, my bad. 3 to 6 a.m.
Even worse. Well, I mean,
So that's summer. 3
you
to
might
6
catch
a.m.
it. You might actually. That's probably a little bit better.
Oh,
than,
you'd be surprised. People would come after the club,
Yeah.
3 to 6 a.m. And so the KK have it. Here's your slot. The summer 3 to 6 a.m. of 1997. Yes, I'm that old. They're like, here's your spot. I'm like, oh, what? 3 to 6? You got to pay your dues though, right? Okay, cool. They're like, okay, you got to name the show. Dude, what the heck do I name the show? Like, dude, what the heck do I name? And I don't. I think I just became Kavet the Catalyst or whatever. So I'm just like, okay. And at that time, there was a rapper named Saphir, the Saucy Nomad from Oakland. This guy was, if you could mix in E40 hieroglyphics with Project Blowed, and then you add in some maybe Nas or Jay-Z, that's who he was for Oakland, right? And this guy was mind-blowing as an MC. Mind-blowing. Big Daddy Kane, like, he was everything in there. And he had a song called Lightsleeper. That song, I remember watching him when he raps. The video was ill and bugged out. He was ill and bugged out. He was a big old dude. He's the guy on Menace to Society, Cousin Harold. You get out of the car, and then he gets carjacked. So that's Cousin Harold. And his video, his style, his swagger, his album, Boxcar Sessions, was such a huge impact on me. And that song, Lightsleeper, I'm like, the show is called The Lightsleepers Show. So
And appropriate because you can't sleep if you want to catch that show
Yeah.
at 3 a.m.
And it's crazy. I had a class during summer, musicology, which was at 7. So, mind you, there's no Red Bull, there's no Monster. There's Surge, Mountain Dew, and coffee.
Jolt.
Surge, Mountain Dew. Mountain Dew wasn't even a factor back then. It was Surge, Jolt, and coffee. So I chose coffee because I don't know why. I started drinking coffee.
Less calories.
Yeah.
It's just a better choice.
And that's
probably.
the Light Sleeper show. So basically, boom. And then they switched to a prime slot, 9 to 12 on Thursday nights. And then, dude, I'm gonna toot my own horn, dude. Like Light Sleeper show, the run of Light Sleeper show, that was a block of 5 years of Hawaii hip hop that helped shape Hawaii's underground and independent hip hop scene. And it's undoubtedly one of the dopest eras because that's the era where a lot of the younger cats, the cats that are not that, how can you say, the guys that maybe graduated anywhere from 94 up, 94, 95, 96, 97 to 2000s, that's when we all became artists. We started learning the 4-track, learning how to make our own music, make our own beats, make our own DJing, recording, releasing tapes and albums and CDs. And I was there as the conduit, as the electric company to play everything. You could go home, make a track, bring it to my show, I'll play it. And then that would go out 300 watts, eventually 3,000 watts. Eventually, I would have people sending me stuff. They could send it to the Wake Up Show. They could send it to Mike Nardone. They could send it to, Babito them.
Stretch and Babito.
They sent it to this guy in Hawaii because I played everything. Those guys probably definitely had a barrier of entry because, I mean, back then, like, Babito them was dealing with Doom and Wu-Tang, right? And, like,
everybody went to those.
Yeah, and then, Mike Nardone was in LA, and then, the Baker Boy, all those guys are dealing with major dudes that became somebody. I'm Hawaii, so I play everything, dude. The most weirdest things, the dopest things. And that's kind of how Hawaii kind of gained, I feel, their foothold because of the openness that Hawaii had and the people who we are, the aloha that I look back and I showed to the world. That's how I get tapes from everywhere, dude. Everywhere. Like San Jose, New York. And to this day, I have people that are established artists and producers that come back to me. And these guys are like Grammy winners. They scored like huge names. You know what I mean? Not like DJ Premier or anything, but names, in their, Daddy Kev. And like, I mean, he won multiple Grammys and, and he's been mastering and editing, in LA. He's like my friend because I played his music, you know what I mean? Yeah. And then, that's why I feel that's what Light Sleepers was. Light Sleepers was a radio show for everything, dude. It was like a pure creative melting pot.
As long as you were a part of the family of hip hop.
Yeah.
You were.
Yeah. But even that, though, I'd play the weirdest stuff ever, dude. Because why not, right?
Well, yeah, it was pretty open. There was a lot of experimental stuff in that age, late 90s, early 2000s.
97.
It sounded like everything. You're just like, what? This is like, from like, just. Like,
it was a great time. But, in that time, like, the open mics, I'd let people freestyle on there. I got to say, this one thing I created called 10:15 Throwdown because safe harbor hours start at 10:30. But you could start swearing technically at 10:15.
So no radio. So you can come in. You don't have to edit your bars.
Yeah. So then, but I would tell them no swearing. Everybody knows it is count 10:15 Throwdown. And at 10:15, I would start it because 10:30 is technically when it starts. But there's like a weird 10:15 to 10:30 where you can kind of get away with it. And I would have people call in and freestyle. And like on the real, like that, I think that definitely helped the scene because you didn't have to be at the radio station. And if you're an up and coming MC and you're kind of scared, you could be under an alias and call. Yo, it's Kavet the Catalyst. This is Kavet the Catalyst Light Sleeper Show, 10:15 Throwdown, keep it clean. And then you have people rhyming, and it was epic time, dude. Like, because what I learned, like, when I was young and then the older guys had the KTUH station, it was way more intimidating. Like, I was a young kid trying to get in. It's way more intimidating. And not that they were gatekeeping. It's because the level was so high that you walked in there like, yo, I'm not ready, bro. Right? And it's not that I didn't do that with my show, is that I allowed them to figure it out by putting them on the spot. Because when you put on the live on the spot, then you get to see if you're really dope. With the older heads that I came up with, you just knew like I wasn't ready. But I'm like, I came from that. I don't want it to feel like that. I want it to be like, you know what, let me try rhyme with these guys. And just through the experience of it all, then you realize, man, I got to go home and write my bars. I gotta go home. I shouldn't be rapping on this mic. I shouldn't. Nah, dude. Like I'm not good enough and DJing, scratching. Like I gotta go back in the lab, right?
That's
But
why,
not. But now you know. But now you know because I gave you that experience.
That's why we need people to check people.
Yeah.
It's okay to tell them it's whack.
Yeah. Yeah.
That doesn't mean you're a whack person. Just because
Nah.
you spit some whack bars, go
No
home,
ways.
get your bars up, come back.
Get it? And the thing,
That's positive. That's how you. That's the way you learn.
it should never stop though. If someone tells you no, you tell yourself yes.
That's hip hop.
That's hip hop.
Yeah.
If someone says you can, you say yes, I can. I hate to sound like some Tim Robbins book, but that's just what it is. Like, dude. The gatekeeping is fake. It's not real. It's something that people say, and they're doing it because either they were gatekeeped and they didn't open the gate or find a way to get the key. So now they're like, dude, gatekeeping. Like, no, it doesn't exist.
Just go around.
Yeah, just go around.
What gate? Yeah.
Yeah, dude. You can go around the Great Wall of China. It's gonna be far, but like you'll get there, right? Go over it, right? You can be like Danny Way and launch yourself over the dang thing. But yeah, dude. So that was one era of Lightsleepers. That was the roots, the beginning of Lightsleepers.
And that's the
radio show.
The radio show came first.
The first iteration of Lightsleepers roots. Yeah.
Yeah, and then so it led to what?
So I got kicked off the radio.
Because you
Because
graduated.
I graduated.
Yeah.
I kicked off the radio. And you know what's crazy? And thank you, everybody. And I got kicked off the radio. People were protesting, writing into Star Bulletin and Advertiser. Why are you kicking Kavet off the radio? And I was like flattered. But you know what I realized? Like, you can't hold on to everything. You can't live in a moment forever. It's a moment. If the moment is 1 minute or the moment is 5 years, like, you'll never grow. And then sometimes you need to be pushed, right? Like a baby, right? If you hold its hand while it's walking, it might never learn how to walk properly. You got to let it fall. So I knew in my gut when they wanted to kick me out, but the way they did it was dirty because the program director, the head dude, didn't like hip hop and didn't like what I stood for. And he just kicked me out. And at first I was like, what the heck? But then it was pretty weird because instantly I knew I got to get out. And I did it. I got out. And then that's when I started the clothing. That's when I started Trip the Lights and Beetroot and Inertia. I started doing events because I was like, you know what? I can take what I learned from the radio and start doing these live. Trip the Lights was I took the idea from Hisham and Jamal doing live art, live performances, MCs. We'd have bring your own instrument night. So I'd say, come to Trip the Lights, $5, bring an instrument. Who does that? Bring an instrument. Harmonica, flute, banjo. Like, dude, bring it. Play it. And dude, it worked. I would have live art because I learned that from Hisham and Jamal. So I always give my props to them. And then, did that. Beetroot started because I went to New Rican Cafe in New York. Shout out to my homie Centric. That's OG crew. Olivicated to EP, my homie that passed away. Went to New York. He said, Kavet, in New York at the New Rican Cafe, they do beat battles. I'm like, what? What do you mean? They battle NPC versus NPC. Like, what? That's the dopest. So we went there, and he entered. Centric entered, and he came in like second place in New York.
Yeah.
Centric from Hawaiʻi, Mililani, went to New Rican Cafe, me and him, and he battled and got second place. Like, dude, come on.
Especially
now.
at that time.
In New York is cutthroat.
Even still New York. You know people who, I know heads from New York that have never listened to an MC that's not from New York.
Exactly. So imagine a Hawaiian guy. He's Chamorro, right? From Guam. Well, Guam is his roots. He's Hawaiʻi Mililani. Goes there with his MPC. His style, I can say it was before people started. He started chopping up video games sounds before and mastering it and killing it before anybody. Like, I'm a stand on that. Like, deep chops and reconstructing it. So he went with that style to New York. No one can do it as good as him, I feel. And he went there and he blew him away. And the way you win those things is crowd participation. Yeah. So, okay, there was 8 people at NPCs, everybody from New York. So a guy from Hawaii with no crowd, he had me, his cousin, and the cousin's boyfriend and the girlfriend.
And you from Hawaii, so you're not going to yell.
No.
You're going to be respectful.
We tried, but it's 4 of us. But he made it to the finals. So anyway, I got that concept, brought it back, started Beetroot. And Beetroot was like 10 years in the making, dude. And it was basically for the producers because I did B-boy battles, but I'm like, what about the producers, dude? So everything I did was for a purpose. to basically create a laboratory, you know, that basically like festered the creativity to eventually, you know, it would explode, and then I could just let it go and let it live, you know. So that's one of the big things. Beetroot Inertia, B-Boy Battle I did for over a decade. You know, Trip the Lights was like a multi-media art show. And then eventually I opened my own shop called the Lightsleepers MC, Lightsleepers in McCully.
And so is that the thing you've probably done the longest, is the clothing brand?
So clothing always lived throughout the whole thing.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but it's always been rooted in this culture.
Yeah, it's everything that I like, which is hip hop and skateboarding. And you know, in hip hop, it's everything: skateboarding, cartoons, right? Like
comic books,
comic
kung fu.
books. And then I linked up with Spell, and he's on the next level. He likes stuff that I don't like, but we never do things that we don't feel like we know about, that we cannot say we're not an expert of, or not we don't love it. Like, we don't front like that. I did a jiu-jitsu gig with Day by Day. Shout out to Day by Day, AJ and Benel. And I don't do jiu-jitsu, right? So to me, I was against it because I don't do it, right? It's a culture that I respect. I watch. But they're like, nah, Kavet, dude. Like, you know, the people that do jiu-jitsu, they know your brand. Like, you know, you'll be fine. I'm like, nah, dude, I don't want to do it, dude. Dude, I don't do jiu-jitsu. You're like, nah.
You don't want to front.
But their cosign and them telling me, nah, jiu-jitsu heads, no light sleepers, because don't sleep. I mean, that's as jiu-jitsu as it can get. Don't sleep, bro.
Don't get caught sleeping.
Don't get caught sleeping.
You can get choked out.
And we did it. It sold out during the pandemic. I mean, but that just shows, like, you know, the integrity of the brand carried through to other cultures and other genres and other cliques and communities, you know. And I think that's what the longevity of Lightsleepers, it really represents, you know. It's just keeping it, I hate to say it, keeping it real to to ourselves, to our faith, to what we believe in, and to what we know and understand. So, yeah, we did some crazy
authentic.
collabs.
Even though we don't like that word, but
yeah, yeah. But you gotta be, man.
you gotta be, yeah. For sure.
And that's the only reason why I'm still here and able to do these things, is because I'm authentically myself, right? And then I pair myself or put myself next to people that are either better than me or like minds, that we can relate, you know what I mean? And I always challenge myself and push myself to find the people that I can pair up with, that, you know, that are masters in their own craft, you know what I mean? Never thinking I'm the it, you know, so yeah.
And so that leads us to where we, not all the way, but to where we are today.
Yeah.
And just talk about why you felt the need to make this podcast. I guess you're kind of,
Right.
you're moving on from PBS soon.
Yeah.
And this is the ultimate episode, the last episode.
This is the last episode, technically.
Or the last episode under ALANUI MELE brand.
Yeah.
And just as kind of an introduction, or just my thinking, you know, I work here at PBS with you. We were like, we both tried to do hip hop when we were young.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
We tried to write, we do art. It informs like a lot of what we do. But my job is, you know, I produce TV shows.
Right.
But I feel like hip hop informs everything I do.
Yeah.
Like, one of my proudest moments is the very first episode of our show, Home Is Here. We had an MC on it, quoting Tupac and rapping. So I was like, we gotta represent for the culture, because that's what we do.
You figured out how to put it in there.
So I mean, obviously, this is a big flex on representing for the culture, doing a Hawaiʻi Hip-Hop history that will live on the internet forever. And people can hear these stories. But just how does hip hop inform what you do? Even though you're not like fully in it, you're not hosting episodes, so you're not getting up there in ciphers anymore.
Nah.
You're not. You still DJ, I know that.
Yeah. All vinyl, baby. Always analog. Let's go.
You're not making beats every day anymore.
Nope, I wish
you're
I
not
was.
hosting events.
I don't want to do that.
But how does it still inform what you do on a day-to-day basis?
I live by, there's rules that I live by, and I call it the hip hop rules. And these rules are like, the number one rule always, we talked about it, is don't bite. Don't bite. And for lamest terms, don't copy. Don't be a clone. Don't be a sheep. I'm breaking it down. That's a hip hop rule, don't bite. And that should apply to everybody. If you're in a creative space, don't copy the way that person edited their video. Don't copy the way that person did their typography. Don't copy the way that this guy did their thing or this girl did their thing. You know what I mean? you can follow the way they did it, because then I believe that everybody successful creates a trail or a path, right? And smart people will follow that path, but then be like, okay, this is where I go this way. But some people will just keep following it. And that's a biter, dude. Don't bite, dude. And that's how hip hop is always reflected, into what I do. Subconsciously, it's just bred it in that 90s era of you gotta don't bite.
Yeah, you cannot, bro.
You gotta be fresh, and you gotta come fresh every time. You know what I mean? At my age, I wish I was still rocking Polo Nautica and I had the freshest Air Maxes every day, but you get kids and a wife and a mortgage and, they're going to go to that, you know what I mean? But back in the day, man, like, oh my God. But in turn, that mentality stays with you and like, okay, how can I make being the web manager at PBS fresh, right? So like, if you look at the website, I program Sun Ra, right? So shout out to John K., the national programmer.
Our programmer here.
His son is a jazz drummer, dope jazz drummer, and he's a head from San Fran too. He programmed Sun Ra. I said, yo, John, you put Sun Ra. I see it. I was like, I got you. And he knew it already. So boom, how do I make hip-hop PBS? I put Sun Ra on the front page. Dude, that right there, that's hip-hop right there. And Rob Swift, shout out to Rob Swift. He said something like, hip-hop is because we make it hip-hop. Sun Ra didn't make hip-hop. But because Kavet the Catalyst put Sun Ra in front of it, top of
Sun
front
Ra's
page.
hip hop.
Well, he is hip hop, but he didn't make. He didn't
make hip hop, but he is hip hop.
He's hip hop because hip hop people, the people like like Rob Swift,
his thumbprint is all over.
They sampled it, so it's created hip hop. Yeah. So the way I did it is, I put Sun Ra on the PBS front page, and that's hip hop right there. Because if it wasn't hip hop, I'll just let it get buried and everything else, right? So that's how I basically bring in the hip hop aesthetics, the feel, the soul into my job. And then a few years back, it was the 50 years of hip hop in America. So
period, right?
Period, yeah. And I mean, people complain, argue. I don't care, dude. I'm from Hawaii. You guys can argue about that. I'll just say it's 50.
It's pretty close.
Yeah.
Whether it's a few months before or
it's like Jesus' birthday. Like
it's pretty close.
Was it December 25th? Who knows? But
pretty close. Yeah, pretty close to that year.
Pretty close to hip hop started when Jesus was born. Hey, anyway, that's awesome. Anyway, so 50 years of hip hop happened a couple years ago, and I'm here as the web guy because backstory is I closed my shop during the pandemic. That was the Lightsleepers shop. I had a brick and mortar, went all in with the brand, did everything online, and during the pandemic went online, and then after that I was like, I want a job, dude. I miss getting paid, weekly, regular. Like it's tough, man.
Yep.
You've been through it as freelance, as your own boss. I went through it. I got the job at PBS. Fast forward, 50 years of hip hop. I'm programming the website. LL Cool J, you know what I mean? Like all these hip hop things, like, oh, this is dope, man. 50 years of hip hop. Then it just clicked. Hey, what about Hawaii hip hop? Like, wait, does anybody know our story? Like, you know what I mean? And the older I get, the more I realize, like, you can't let someone else do it because I'm trying to figure out who could do it. But I'm like, you gotta look in the mirror, bro. Like, I think you're the guy that got to do it. You're at PBS. You've been doing it for decades. You grew up in the 90s, not the 80s, but like enough where I could reach.
Both sides.
Yeah, I was old enough to like touch the 80s and born and bred 90s baby. And then boom, I'm off and running in the 2000s. So I was a good place where it's like, you know what? I'm at PBS. I have the platform. So I pitched it. Shout out to Ron. Shout out to Jody, definitely, for believing. And then pitching it to Ron. Ron said yes, which is, dude, for Hawaii hip-hop to get a platform on PBS.
It's a major platform.
It's huge.
And it's going to live forever. That's the thing.
And that's why I did it. It's going to live forever. So I said, you know what? I want to start documenting the OGs first. Let's go OGs. I tried my best. I still want to do OGs. But yeah, get all the OGs in. And yeah, man, I'm doing it for Hawaii hip-hop. And to let everybody know, I don't get paid to do the podcast. My job is to maintain the website, which is easy to an extent, but when something breaks, like anybody knows, you're the first guy, and it's on you. So I do ALANUI MELE because of the love, and it's an extension of how I can bring hip hop into my job, to workplace, how I can influence hip hop on PBS and tastefully. I mean, you watch the podcast, it's tasteful, it's good. There's no controversy. We don't talk down on anybody. We tell the truth. Tell the stories that happen are stories that need to be told in order for our history to be kept. And that's what I do. I do it with integrity, and it's not for clicks. And I always tell PBS, it might not get the numbers that you want, but trust me, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, 10 years from now, people are going to look back and be like, oh, okay, dang, PBS Hawaii, dude. Like, they don't do this in LA. I don't ever heard PBS LA or them doing Los Angeles hip-hop history, Seattle hip-hop history, New York hip-hop history, Hawaii, first to do it.
There's a lot of stories in there people don't know about.
Yeah.
There's a lot of influential dudes. I know we don't have or we don't get the national recognition about, oh, this is a hip-hop mecca or anything.
No.
But it's Hawaii's thumbprints are all over. Just people coming here, recording here.
Oh, yeah.
Artists that are super influential that are from here.
Yep.
People that came here and first MC'd here, then went to the Bay.
Yeah.
And, and did there's a lot of
Hawaii's
really
rich.
important writers, really important B-boys.
Yeah.
That have a lot of ties here.
Yeah.
And like most things, that history gets buried. So it's super dope to have, most things Hawaiian.
Right,
Unfortunately,
yeah.
Hawaiian history gets buried a lot.
Right.
So it's super dope to have something where you're like, okay, we at least can tell the stories and tell people that, these things happen.
Yeah, and it's crazy because through the stories, you realize Hawaii was we weren't really behind. We weren't really behind. B-boy, we weren't really behind. MC, man, like at one point, I would put up any Hawaii MC against anybody in the world. Like, we got killers, man, like lyrical spitters, like, whoa. Production, like, we're not behind, It's just that we are in Hawaii.
Yeah.
We're removed from the industry of hip-hop. We're landlocked, you know what I mean? Even because of streaming and that, it's still, it helps, but it's still a barrier that we're not there in the meccas, at Los Angeles and New York.
It's a blessing and a curse, to be honest.
It is definitely. But
do you want to get, blow up worldwide? Sure.
Yeah.
But do you want to be like true to Hawaii? I feel like that's a bigger dub, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because it's the dopest place on earth. With the dopest people on earth.
And we're still trying to figure out what's our sound.
Yeah.
Like, I asked that question a lot. I should have asked it more, but I can't even tell you what it is. Like, I believe IA created his own sound, but is that Hawaii hip-hop? I don't know. It's IA hip-hop, right? And he's from Hawaii. So, you know what I mean? Like, because it's kind of like the Bay Area, right? So you hear E40 and, Mac
Bay
Dre.
has its own slang.
Right? But then there's E40 Mac Dre, and then there's Dell.
And Hyro, yeah.
Hyro. So are they Bay Area hip-hop? Yes, but people think Too Short and Mac Dre and E40. They think that Bay Area hip-hop, right? And Pilo, the new guys coming up. They don't say
Saphir and
hieroglyphics and Dell Souls and stuff like that. But that's Bay. So I feel like I feel like that's the way it's gonna go, I use IA a lot because that guy, the respect to that guy. That guy's a hustler, Even with like the outside of hip hop, which is kind of hip hop like 8 Row 8, He's created this new island sound that has hip hop.
No, his whole crew's dope.
Yeah, so that stuff, right? So all of that is Hawaii hip hop. So at some point, we got to tell ourselves that I have to tell myself, we got to stop defining what a Hawaii hip hop is and just create hip hop that's from Hawaii.
And support local.
That's
the biggest thing. You gotta get the love of local before you can go.
Oh yeah, you gotta.
Sometimes we're not as good as we should be at that. But support local. We got dope local artists. A lot of them have been on this show. But a lot of them haven't.
Yeah.
That are also dope, and they're out there making music right now.
Yeah, and eventually, like, I still want to, I would love to continue ALANUI MELE to some extent, and I will. I don't know really how yet, but we'll figure it out.
Keep telling hip hop stories though. Keep shining a light on these guys.
But I got people like Skez 520 that's in the waiting, Slick. You know what I mean? I got like the whole high state waiting. Like, I got MCs and DJs like Nocturnal Sound Crew I need to interview. Like, you know what I mean? I mean, you name it. I got radio personalities I need to interview, promoters, producers that just waiting. You know what I mean? Like, and I always tell people like, hey, it's not that I'm not trying to get it on. It's just like I'm one man. Like, I got Farron, shout out to Farron, behind the camera, and then me. Yep. He does the filming, color correction, and then it's all me now. So people gotta understand we may be PBS, but it's a 2-man game here. So I'm trying my best. So, if anybody out there, you know what I mean, want to support, let me know. You know what I mean? ALANUI MELE, Hawaiʻi Hip-Hop History. It's going to live on, and we'll figure it out. It's going to be dope.
All right. And why should people care about hip-hop in Hawaii? We can end on that.
Yeah, why should people care about
what hip-hop gets a lot of bad press. It
Yeah.
gets some good press, but why is hip-hop so meaningful to you? You said as a kid, and you're like, that's it.
Right.
Ever since Terrence was like defiant and like standing on business
You standing on business, Terrence.
and just like looking and be like,
Terrence?
nah, bro. Check this, I'm dropping in, homie.
Dude,
You can't tell me nothing.
That's a Hallmark classic. There, what is that called?
Dude, legendary. I don't know Terrence, but I love Terrence.
Dude,
Big
that
up to
story.
Terrence.
Dude, look at I tell that story, and I was in elementary, bro.
Yeah, man.
I don't know where Terrence is, but I don't know. Maybe he's in Waimanalo. I don't know. Why, I don't know. I feel like he's in Waimanalo. But anyway, I think people should care about hip hop because hip hop is Hawaii. Like, it's everywhere. No matter what you think about it, hip hop music is the number one listened to music, made music. You can't avoid it. You know what I mean? But we have to just own it, own who we are, and make Hawaii hip hop. You know what I mean? Like, and it's possible. I just feel like we should care about it because that's always been the next level of creativity. I grew up as a Hawaiian in the city, right? I didn't grow up as a Hawaiian in the country. I grew up in a Hawaiian skateboarding. I didn't grow up as a native Hawaiian hunting or fishing. Like, I grew up in the city, latchkey child, come home when the lights go out, leave in the morning, make your own breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I would never change that. But that person needed hip hop, you know what I mean? And being a native Hawaiian, I naturally created Hawaii hip-hop, a Hawaiian doing hip-hop. And I feel like hip-hop, that's the next level for Hawaiian culture and stories. Shout out to Punahele and Rucka and all those cats, Naveed, all those guys, Hano Hano, so much Hawaii hip-hop guys, that's the avenue, that's the next level. It's always been that. Hip-hop has always been the next storyteller for Hawaii history and Hawaiian language. That's how it is. That's what it is, man. Like, but I think the general populace has to just say, like, yeah, it is. You know what I mean? And I don't care if they let us in or not, because we'll break down the door. But that's what it is. Hip hop is the next storytellers, is the next to give them mo'olelos of the stories, native or not. You know, you're born and raised in Hawaii, you're making hip hop, Hawaiian hip hop for Hawaii. And yeah, and I truly believe that, regardless if you're Hawaiian by blood or Hawaiian by home, it doesn't matter, man. Yeah, that's the future right there. Hip hop, Hawaii hip hop.
All right, this is the final one. You've talked to a lot of important people. Who you got to shout out? You're gonna miss some names.
Yes.
Make some people angry.
Yeah.
But here you go. The roll call.
The roll call.
Yeah, that's a very hip hop thing.
Yeah, it's super roll call. Like,
especially at the end of all the dope records. It's down with us.
Man.
It's down with us.
First of all, thank you to God. Without him, none of this would be possible. My wife and my family. It's like giving my award speech.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
no,
yeah.
for real, God, first of all, faith. Without that, I would never be where I'm at. Shout out to my parents, my mom and my dad, and my rest of my ohana, my wife and my kids. And, shout out to EP. He's my homie that passed. He was my we were right hand, left hand man. Yeah, he passed away. So everything is livicated to EP. The OG crew, Iman, EC Massive, IV Unit, all the Lightsleeper fam, everybody that's ever been down with Lightsleepers. People ask, how can I be down with Lightsleepers? If you got to ask that question, then you're not down with Lightsleepers, because everybody's down with Lightsleepers.
Buy a shirt.
Buy a shirt always helps. But I want to thank a DMFD who passed away recently. I didn't get him on my podcast. G-Dog, which is Stone Groove. Grant, he's an OG Z-Boy, Dogtown skateboarder. And G-Spot, which is house music from Chicago. Those three guys really helped put me where I am today. They gave me my first DJ gigs out. And I got to say that on record, because there's so many people that helped me out, and I love you all. Shout out to Spell. Once I partnered with him, Lightsleepers went to the next level. Booyah. But those three, as for like my DJ career, like always got to give props to them. And Flash was there too. He was the the guy who ran the club at 1739 that paid me, and then he brought me onto the wave. So it's crazy. It's like, even though I'm underground independent, all these mainstream dudes, they got love, man. They got love for underground hip hop. But thank you to everybody, man. I mean, through the years, you guys made Lightsleepers what it is and allowed ALANUI MELE to thrive. And thank you to PBS for giving the platform. Really appreciate it. And as always, Kavet the Catalyst, ALANUI MELE, Hawaiʻi Hip-Hop History. Don't sleep.